Yes. So GUI, in GUI programming, yesterday we started this, right? So there are multiple libraries for developing GUI applications. So there's a Kinter, WX, Python, Kiwi, and one more is what, PyQt. All these are different libraries which are used for developing GUI applications. So default library which comes with the Python software is what here? Kinter, right? So Kinter package. I think we have seen this. Next, I was talking about button, right? So the button class, so you can use a button class to represent a button widget. Okay. But where you are creating all the widgets within window. All widgets are created within window. Okay. So every object is having some properties. Like there is a text, background, foreground, font, image. And one more is what here? Command. So display value, text, which has to be displayed on the button, right? And this is background color of button, foreground color of the button, right? So there's a background color and there's a foreground color and there is font. You can set it. Suppose if you see this example, so what you're doing in this is, first you are trying to create a window. And what is the size of the window? 300 is the width and 300 is what? Height. So you are trying to set the size of the window by using geometry, right? And this is the title of the window, which is window 1. And this is the background color of the window. And here I write one function here. So this function, you are calling it when you click on the button. When you click on the button, you're trying to call which one? Function. So button 1 equal to Kinter dot button. So you're creating a button inside what here? Window. Where you're creating a button inside a window. So this is window object. And what is the text of this button is change color. And what is the background color of this button is some pink. What is the font color of this button is blue. And I try to define the font. So as a tuple which contain font name. So what is the font name here? Arial. And what is the size of the font? 14. So when I click on this button, I should call what? Function 1. If I click on the button, it should call the function 1. Okay. When you click on the button, it should call the function 1. So command equal to what here? Function 1. Then this button you are placing button 1 dot place, where you are placing this button, the X position is 100 and Y position is what? 100. And you are executing a window by invoking which method? Main loop. Okay, so how you are executing a window? Using main loop. So once you run this, now this is a window and within the window I place one button. So background color of the button and font, this is a font properties. If I click on this button, change color, now the background color of the button get what? Change. So but when you click on the button, so button is having one property called command. So when I click on this, it is invoking which one? Function 1. But what you're doing in function 1, you are changing the background color of the window. You're changing the background color of the window by using window.config. So this is a background color of the window get changed to what here? Yellow, right? So you can place the button by using place, but there are different layouts. So every widget is having layout methods. Every widget is having layout methods. So layout defines how to organize. What layout defines is how to organize widgets or geo components within window. For example, pack is there. Using pack, you can able to organize. Okay, using pack, you can able to organize. You can able to organize widgets based on geographical positions. Using pack, you can organize using pack. So there is a pack layout. In pack layout, components or widgets are organized using geographical positions. Okay, organized by using geographical positions like left, right, top, and one more is what? Bottom. For example, if you see this, I try to create one window and I try to set the geometry of that window. Like geometry is the size of the window. And then I try to define the title of the window. I try to define background color of the window. Then I create a button where I create a button within window. And what is the text of this button? Change color. What is the background color of this button? Cyan. But I'm placing this button with the X position as 50 and Y position is what? 50, because this is a width and height of the window. Within this, X position is 50 and Y position is 50. You can also create a button like you're saying button 2. Now this button 2 is created within window. What is the text of this button? Left. What is the text of this button? Right. What is the text of this button? Top. What is the text of this button? Bottom. The text of this button is left. The text of this button is right. The text of this button is top. The text of this button is what? Bottom. So using place, you can place the button at given position. Using place, you can place a button using at given position. But there is one more is there, button 2 dot pack. Using pack, you can define, you want to display the button at left side or right side, at top or at bottom. So button 2 dot pack side equal to left means where this button 2 is displayed at left side. Button 3 dot pack, I said side equal to kinter dot right means this will be displayed at which side? Right side. Button 4 dot pack side equal to kinter dot top. So this will be displayed at the top of the window. And side equal to kinter dot bottom. So this will be displayed at what? Bottom of the window. It means you are trying to display by using geographical positions like north, east, west, south, like that. So that is left, top, right, and one more is what? Bottom. But if you want to place it your own position, if you want to place it your own position, then you are using what? Place. You can define position where you want to place it. But this is predefined. Like left means only left side. Okay, now if you run this, you can see this is my own position. But this is at the top. This button is at the top. And this button is at the left side. This button is at right side. And this button is at what here? Bottom. So top, left, right, and one more is what? Bottom. Now this is displaying the window using which layout here? Pack layout. There is one more layout is there. What is that layout is? Grid layout. So what will happen in grid layout? It allows to organize widgets or components in the form of rows and what is that? Columns. You are trying to organize in the form of rows and columns. So that layout is called which one here? Grid layout. So what you're doing is you're trying to create a window and you try to define the size of the window. Okay, size of the window. Any size you can give. You try to give the title of the window. And here we write some functions. There is a function 1 which will change the background color of window to the red. There is a function 2 which changes the background color of the window to blue. There is a function 3 which changes the background color of the window to what? Green. But when you are calling these functions, when you click on this button, so there is a button 1 equal to kinter dot button. You are creating a button within window. What is the text of this button? Red. Command equal to function 1 means when the command is executed, when you click on this button. When you click on this button, it will call which function? Function 1. And that function 1 change the background color of the window. So when you click on the button 2, so there is a button 2, then it will call the function 2. So what is the text of the button 2? Blue. What is the text of the button 3? Green. But you are trying to organize this in which one? Grid. So grid means rows and columns. You are organizing it by dividing into rows and columns. That is called as a grid. So this is a grid layout. So grid means rows and columns, right? Now you are saying row 1. So assume that this is row 1 and this is a column 1. In row 1, column 1, you display one button. Okay, button 2. In row 1, column 2, you are displaying in one more button. In row 1 and column 3, so there is one more column. In column 3, you display another button. So this is called as a grid. Now if I say row 2, column 1, okay, row 2, column 2, row 2, column. Now you are trying to organize in the form of rows and columns. Now that layout is called as which layout? Grid layout. So pack is left, top, right, bottom like that. But grid is rows and columns, and place is user defined positions. Now you don't require. You can define where you want to place. You don't require to follow predefined layout. You don't require to follow predefined layout. Okay. You don't require to follow predefined layout. Yes. Now once you run this, now this is first row, red, blue, and green. Now if I click on this, change the background color of it. So this is a green and this is what here. Yes. So now I try to call the functions when I click on this particular buttons. Now this layout is called as which layout? Grid layout. This layout is called which layout? Grid layout. But you are calling when you click on the function button 1, then you call the function 1. Button 2, when you click, you call the function 2. Button 3, when you click, you are calling function 3. So there is another layout that is called as which one here? Place layout. This allows to place a widget at user defined positions. You can define the position like where you want to place it. You can define the position where you want to place it. Suppose if I say place, X position is some 10 and Y position is 10, it will try to display that widget at X position 10 and Y position 10. But this is predefined layouts. But if place is user defined. So these are different layouts you have. That is pack, a grid, and one more is what? Place. So place method is used to place the widget at given X and Y positions. So there is a label widget. So label widget is a display item where we can display the value or what? Data. If you want to display the value or data, you are displaying the value or data. You are displaying the value or data. So what you're doing is you are displaying the value or the data, okay, by using label. You are displaying the value or data using what here? Label widget. So there is a label is there. You are displaying the value. So there is a label. For example, username. Suppose you enter username. So your username is the label. Password. This password is what here? Label. So these both are called which one? Labels. Then you try to input the data into entry widget. This is called as which widget? Entry widget. This is called as a label widget. And these are called as which widgets? Entry widget. And here you'll try to place a button. What is a button here? Sign in. So this you can call it as which one? Button, right? So label. How you create a label? Using label. Where you are creating this label within window. You are creating this label within window and it followed by attributes. So what are the attributes of label text? So text displayed inside the label. What text you want to display inside the label? So that is defined by the text. So text displayed inside the label. Okay, text displayed inside the label. That is by using a text. And FG is nothing but font color of the label, background color of the label, and using a font, you can define the name of the font and size of the font. So I tried to import Kinter and I created one window. Created window and set the title of the window and define the geometry, that is size of the window. So what is the size of the window? Like 400 is the width and 400 is what here? Height. So this is a background color of the window and there is a label. So kinter.label, where you are creating this label within window, and what is the text of this label? Banking application. And what is the font color of this window? Blue. What is the background color of the window label? Pink. What is the font of this label? Arial and 18. Where you are placing this label in the window, X position is 100 and Y position is what? 10. And to run this window, you are using window dot main loop. So that will execute the window. Window dot main loop. So that will execute what here? Window. Okay. So for that, you are using window dot main loop. So once you run this, now this is a label. What is the text of the label? Banking application. What is the font of the label? Font color of the label is some blue, right? Yes. So we try to define the text is banking application, and this is foreground color, and there is a background color, and there is a font. What is the font is given? Arial. And what is the size of the font here? 18. The size of the font is what here? 18, right? So if you want to input any values, you're taking the help of another widget. And what is that widget is? Entry widget. Now entry widget is used to input data at runtime. Entry widget is used to input the data at what? Runtime. If you want to input the values, so entry, you are creating entry, where you are creating entry within window object. Then you can define the width of this entry field and what is the font style, that is font name and font size, and foreground color, background color, and show. So show, you can hide when you type the text within entry widget, you can hide it. Like suppose password is there. When you type the password, it will hide the password. It will not show the password. I can say show equal to star. If I say show equal to star, when you type it, it will show what? Stars instead of showing the original text. If I say show equal to dollar, it will show you the dollar when you type the text rather than displaying the original text. For example, this is simple calculator. So where I'm saying main and I'm creating first one window. How can you create a window? By saying kinter.tk. Now this is for creating a window and I try to define the title of the window. What is the title of the window? Calculator. And what is the size of this window? 300 is a width and 300 is what here? Height. I create label 1. So this label is created within window. And what is the text of this label? Number. And what is the font? Arial is the name of the font and 14 is a size. Any font name you can take. See, these are so many fonts are there. Any font name you can take. Font equal to Arial and this is size. So I try to place how many labels here? 3 labels. I try to place how many labels here? 3 labels because I'm creating like this. Okay, this is calculator. So where you are trying to display. So this is one label. And this is one label. And this is one label. Result is one label. And this is one entry widget. This is one entry widget. And this is one entry widget. And there is a buttons here. There is a add button. There is a sub button. There is a multiply button. and there is a division button. So there is a plus here, there is a minus, and there is a slash, and there is a star. Now you are trying to do like this. You are trying to input the numbers. You are trying to input the numbers. So after input the numbers, you click on plus or minus or slash, or one more is what? Star. Now you can use this to perform operations. So, okay. Now I try to create how many labels here? 3 labels. And how many entry fields I created? 3 entry fields. So there is the entry field 1. So width is a 10 and this is a font. There is an entry field 2 and there is an entry field what here? 3. Okay. And after that, even I created buttons. So there is a button 1. What is a button 1 here? Add. So when you click on this button, you are calling which function? Add function. I created another button called button 2. When you click on this button, you are calling which function? Sub function. I created button 3. When you click on this button, you are calling multiply function. Created one more button, division. If you click on this button, you called division function. And I try to organize label 1.grid. So in grid, you define row 0, column 0. Now you started at 0 now. If you take this is a window. Now this is first row. So you are trying to divide into number of rows and columns. You started what here? 0, 1, 2, 3. So row 0 and column 0. And this is column 1, column 0. In row 0, column 0, you displayed one label. In row 1, column 0, you display one more label. In row 2, column 0, you display another label. In row 0, column 1, you display entry widget 1. In row 1, column 1, you display another entry widget. In row 2, column 1, you display another entry widget. So you are trying to say L1.grid row 0, column 0. L2.grid row 1 and column 0. L3.grid row 2 and column 0. E1.grid row 0 and column 1. And E2.grid row 1 and column 1. E3.grid row 2 and column 1. So you are trying to divide 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So B1.grid row 3 and column 0. B2.grid row 3 and column 1. B3.grid row 4 and column 0. And B4.grid row 4 and what? Column 1. So, but when you click on this button, you are calling the function called add. What you are doing in add function is you need to read the values from the entry widget. So E1 is nothing but entry widget 1, where you enter number 1, and E2 is nothing but entry widget 2, where you enter number 2, entry widget 1, where you enter number 1, entry widget 2, where you enter number 2, and you are adding these two values and you are inserting in what? Entry widget 3. But how you are reading the values from entry widget 1? E1 dot. E1 is nothing but first entry field. You enter the value in one entry field, right? So you try to enter the value. So this is entry widget where you enter the value some 10. Okay, assume that you enter the value 10. So what is the name of this widget here? E1. And what is the name of this object here? E2. What is the name of this object here? E3. So you are reading value from E1. How you are reading it? Saying E1 dot get. You are reading the value from E2 by saying E2 dot get. But this get method of entry widget return string, and you convert this string into what here? Integer. And add this both, and then you are inserting this value in entry widget 3. You are inserting these values into which widget? Entry widget 3. Entry widget 3 dot insert. Okay, it is entry widget is just like a array. Okay, but before inserting, you are deleting all previous result. You are deleting it by saying entry widget 3 dot delete. If previous result is there, that previous result will delete from where? 0 to end of the entry widget. So it will empty the entry widget. So 0 means first index, and kinter is a package, and end is what here? Constant. So this indicates now delete from 0 to end of the entry widget, and then you are inserting a new value from 0 position, converting this result into which type? String type. Now this is placing the result into entry widget 3. When you click on sub, same thing. E1 dot get, E2 dot get, but operation is what? Minus. And where you are placing this result in? Entry widget 3. But before placing into entry widget 3, you are deleting the content of entry widget 3. If previous result is there, that previous result get delete. But how you are deleting it? By saying E3 dot delete from 0 position to end of the widget. So multiply, you read values, multiply and place it. Division, read the values and divide it and place it. We'll just run this, but we have not defined the sizes of buttons. So we have not defined the sizes of buttons. So we have not defined size of buttons here. So once you run this, now there is a number, some 10 and 5, and click on add. So added values, click on sub, and this is multiply, and this is what here? Division. So when I click on add, the previous result it should delete it. But how previous result it deletes it? How previous result it delete? By using delete. And after that, new result is inserted. Previous result is deleted and new result is what here? Inserted. So for that, you are trying to use delete, and to insert new result, you are using what here? Insert. Okay, to insert new result, you are trying to use what here? Insert. But previous result, you are deleting it by using what here? Delete. And new result, you are inserting it using what here? Insert. Right? Okay. Okay, suppose I want to develop this application. So where there is a two buttons are there, one is sign in and one more is what? New user sign up. If I click on sign in, it should open one window where you enter username and password. Then click on which one? Sign in. There is one more button called new user sign up. When you click on this button, it should display one more window. So where you enter the details and click on what? Register. But when you click on register, this detail should stored inside what? Database. So that the same details are used when you sign in. So this is nothing but sign up and this is a sign in. So when you say sign in, it should verify this username and password inside what? Database. Is it this username password is exist or not? If it is exist, it should allow to use the services of your application. Otherwise, it should display the message saying that invalid username or what? Password. It's nothing now. This is one window. If you click on this sign in, I should create one more window. And in this window, you have to place label like username and password entry fields. If you click on this, you should create another window with the label name, username, password, and entry fields like that. If you click on register, you should establish connection to what database, and I should send which command to this insert command. But when you click on sign in, you should send which command to this select command. Okay, because we have seen already sign in, sign up code we have seen. If you practice, you remember, otherwise no. Okay, right. So create the table. Now you have to create this particular table in the MySQL database. So what is the name of the table? User register. What is the name of the table? User register. MySQL command line client. I think this database. So DB2. So there is one table. Now what is the name of the table? User register with the name, username, and what is that? Password, right? So what is the name of the database here? User register. You create this with how many fields? Name, username, and password. You create with name, username, and password. Now, first import the Kinter and import Kinter.message box. So I try to, Kinter is a package and message box is a module. Message box is a module. MySQL is a package and connector is a sub package. So first you are establishing connection to what? Database. But what is my database here? What is my database here? DB2. Here I created which database? DB2. Inside this database, I created which table? User register table. Okay. Then what is the title of this XYZ application? And what is the size of this window? 400 by 300. Now there is a sign up. There is a sign up function is there. And there is which one? Sign in function is there. So now you are trying to create. You are trying to create how many buttons? 2 buttons, right? You are trying to create. You are trying to create how many buttons here? 2 buttons. One button is sign in. And what is the width of this button? 20. If you click on this button, you are calling which function? Sign in window function. If you click on this button, you are calling which function? Sign up window function. See here. How many buttons I created? 2 buttons. If I click on this button, you are calling which function? Sign in window function. If I click on this button, you are calling which function? Sign up window function. And you are placing this both the buttons with the X position is 100 and Y position is 100. Button 2 is placed with X position is 100. Y position is what? 150. But if you click on this button sign in, you are calling which function? Sign in window. Means what you are doing in sign in window. This is the function which one here? Sign in window. In sign in window again you are creating what? Window. In sign in window you are creating one window. What is the title of this window? Sign in. And what is the size of this window? 300 by 300. So within this window, you are placing 2 labels. What is the first label? Username. What is the second label? Password. Entry. How many entry fields? 2 entry fields. You are trying to input username and password. But in password, I said show equal to what here? Star. This is its password is displayed or not displayed? Not displayed. In the place of password, it shows what? Stars. Then Within this sign in window, you are placing one button. What is the button here? Sign in button. When you click on this button, sign in, it is calling which function here? Sign in function. Is calling which function? Sign in function, where you create a cursor. Why you are creating cursor? For sending SQL statement. If you remember, why we are creating a cursor? For sending SQL statement. Cursor dot execute. Okay, because if you practice it, you otherwise daily coming and listening, going means nothing. Okay, I don't know how many of you install database. Okay, database is installed. No database is installed. Nothing. Daily coming, listening. Today is the last class. Okay, today is the last class. So what do you do it? Nothing. Database is not installed. You have not practiced pandas, numpy. No. Okay, but daily you are coming. You have to practice. Otherwise, everything is Greek and Latin. Okay, every class will be a new class. So that is not my problem. That is your problem. Okay, so I should not tell that practice because you people are not kids, right? So otherwise, if I put any function, right? Okay, then everything look like a new thing, right? So it should not be like that. If you practice, then you remember. If you don't practice, Python is over. But what you have learned daily, 3.5 months, 3.5 months, right? 3.5 months. What you have done means zero. You have not written single thing on a notebook. Single thing you have not written on the notebook. Single thing you have not written on the, what is that? Single program you have written. Single program you have not written. Single book. On a book you have not put a paper and write a program. Then how it is possible? Right? Yes or no? You have not written in the book. You don't maintain any notes because I'm there, right? Upload the notes in the Google Classroom. If you want it, copy, paste. Yes or no? Even you don't write a program also. You just copy and paste. I don't know how many of you install the Python software. Okay. Yes. So cursor is created here and cursor dot execute. What you're saying? You're saying like this: select star from, what is the name of the table? User register. This table is already there. Select star from user register table. So in this, one user is there. Okay. Select star from user register, where this logic yesterday only we have seen. Okay. Sign in, sign up. Two programs. Again, if I tell, right, it look like a new thing, right? Okay. So select star from user register, where username equal to percentages and password equal to percentage s. This percentage s is a placeholder, and you are replacing this value with the e1 dot get and e2 dot get. So in e1, what you are trying to enter? Username. In e2, what you are trying to enter? Password. So you are, suppose if any user with this username and password, cursor will have at least one row. If any user with this username and password, cursor will have at least one row. If there is no user with this username and password, the cursor will be what? Empty. You're saying cursor dot fetch one. Cursor dot fetch one. So this fetch one will return what it returns. If there is a row, it returns one. If it is a row, it returns row. If there is no row in a cursor, it returns none. If it is not equal to none, you are displaying one message box. Kinter.message box is a module and show info is one function. And the title of this window is a welcome. Welcome to my application. Otherwise, you are saying invalid username or password. Otherwise, you are saying invalid username or password. Okay. Yes. Now, this is a logic for which one sign in. Within sign in window, there is a function called sign in. Within sign in window, there is a function called sign in. This is how project works. This is how the project works. Okay. How project works means this is how the project works. Praveen Kumar. This is project only. In project, what you start with? Credentials, everything, right? How project works? This is how project works. Okay, now, right. Suppose now this is sign in window. There is one more button is there, no? There is one more button. What is it? Another button. If we click on this button, which one is opened here? Sign up window. This is only beginning. But once you sign in, you move from one place to what? Another. So many things you do it. Once sign in, what do you do it? Once you sign in, what do you do it? You perform your application related services. Application related service. Suppose if it is banking application, what do you do it? Deposit, withdraw, transferring, finding the balance. All these are operations. But before that, first you have to register with the bank or not? Yes. Okay. Now, when you click on sign up, what will happen? Sign up window is called. So what will happen now? This function is called. Okay, this function is called, but I write all the functions in one program. But you have to write these functions in different modules and import one module inside what? Another module. So don't ask me what is module right now. Okay, yes. So sign up window and sign up dot title. What is the title? New user sign up. So there is a new user sign up means now you are trying to enter the name, username, and what is that? Password. And you are trying to define how many entry fields? 3 entry fields are there. There is an entry field 1, entry field 2, and there is an entry field 3. And in entry field 1, you are trying to input what? Username. In entry field 2, you are trying to input what? In entry field 1, you are trying to input name. In entry field 2, you are trying to input username. In entry field 3, you are trying to input what? Password. And when you click on the button, there is a button in this. When you click on the button, you are calling which function? Sign up function. So within sign up window function, there is another function called which one? Sign up. Sign up is nothing but inserting or not? Yes. You are sending which command to the database? Insert command. Cursor dot execute. Insert into user register values. Cursor dot execute. Insert into user register values. How many values you are inserting? 3 values. Name, username, and password. So how many placeholders are there? 3 placeholders. So you are reading value from entry field 1 and place in the first one, entry field 2, and then entry field what? 3. Now see this one, but this is connecting to the backend. So backend means you have to understand. So first you have to install the database and start practicing it. Then database, we have seen communicating with the MySQL database, communicating with the Oracle database. We have seen both the databases, MySQL database And one more is which database? Oracle database. This is only sign in, sign up. Okay. XYZ application, sign in, sign up. Click on sign in. This is sign in. Click on sign up. This is sign up. Now name, username, and password is not visible, right? Then click on sign up. Now you can see user registered. How can you know it whether it's registered or not? See in the back end. So select star from user register. Now this user is there in the database. Okay. Now using this, you sign in. What is the name of the user? NIT and NIT 123. Sign in. Welcome to my application. You can dispose this. Okay. But when you sign in, rather than displaying message, you can display another window or not? Yes. You can display another window where you can perform all other operations. Where you can perform all other operations, right? Let us move into this garbage collection. Okay. So what is one of the advantage of using Python is, what is that? Garbage collection. One of the advantage of using a Python is what? Garbage collection. So what is a garbage here? Okay, what is a garbage collection here is? So garbage collection is a process of deallocating unused memory space or removing unused objects. In Python, memory management is what? Automatic. It is taken care by what? Python runtime. So Python runtime provides one service called, which one here? Garbage collection. So what is the advantage of this is, as a programmer, you don't require to think about deallocation, so that there is no chance of what here? Memory leak. And this will avoid wastage of what? Memory. So how garbage collection works in Python? In Python, garbage collection works using a method called a reference counter. It will work by using one method called reference count. So how garbage collector knows that is it this object is eligible for garbage collection or not? If the object is bind with variable, okay, the object bind with a variable, it is called a reference object. If the object is bind with variable, it is called what? Referenced object. Now this object is bind with how many variables here? 3 variables. This object is bind with how many variables here? 3 variables. It means this object is in use or not in use? In use. This object is in use because this object is bind with how many variables? 3 variables. So what is the reference count of this? 3. Okay. If object bind with any reference variable, the reference count of that object is incremented by what? 1. So this object is bind with employee 1, employee 2, and employee 3. So what is the reference count of this? 3. But when I say employee 1 equal to none, so EMP1 is having what? None. Means reference count is decremented or not? Yes. Now this object is bind with how many variables? 2 variables. Now what is the reference count here? 2. If I say EMP2 equal to none, so this is not holding the address of this object. Then reference count is decremented by 1. So what is the reference count becomes 1. Okay, then if I say EMP3 equal to none, now the reference count is decremented. Now this object is no more bind with any variable. Means this object is there in memory, but I cannot access it because this address is not held by employee 1, employee 2, or employee 3. So what is the reference count of this object here? 0. But this object is occupied some space in memory, but I cannot use it because This address is not held by any variable. Then these objects are eligible for what? Garbage collection. So which objects are eligible for garbage collection? The objects whose reference count is what? 0. The objects whose reference count is what? 0. That objects are eligible for. Those objects are eligible for what? Garbage collection. The objects whose reference count is 0. Those objects are eligible for garbage collection. How can you find a reference count by using get reference count of the object? This method returns a reference count of the object. Okay, this method returns reference count of the object. I created one list L2 equal to L1, L3 equal to L1. Now list one object. I created only one object, but this object address is given to L1, L2 as well as what? L3. This object address is given to L1, L2, and one more is what? L3. So all these variables hold the same address or different address? Same address. So how many reference counts are there? 3. How can you find out that? By using import sys. Sys dot. Okay, sys dot reference count. Reference count. Ref count. Sys dot get reference count of the object called L1 or L2 or L3. Anything you can write. But even this address is sent. L1 address is sent to get reference count. It means get reference count also hold address of which object? List object. Means total how many reference counts are there? 4. Total how many reference counts are there? 4. Because this address also sent to which method? Get reference count. So get reference count also hold address of the list or not? Yes. Because total number of reference counts are how many here? 4. 4 are there. Okay. Okay. So when the object is eligible for garbage collection, if the reference count of that object is what? 0. If it is not bind with any variable. So there is a constructor and there is also what? Destructor. So destructor, what is a constructor method in it? Okay, what is a constructor here in it? What is a destructor here? Delete. Underscore init is a constructor. Underscore delete method is method of object class is called which one here? Destructor. This method is executed automatically whenever object is garbage collected. Now destructor is used to deallocate all the resources allocated within what? Constructor. This method is executed automatically whenever object is garbage collected, and destructor is used to deallocate all the resources allocated within what? Constructor. Now constructor is executed whenever object is what? Created. And destructor is executed before object is garbage collected. Before object is garbage collected. Suppose I created one class. What is the class I created? Employee class. There's one class now. What is the name of this here? Employee 1. So I don't require to delete because once the execution of function is done, is it these objects get deleted or not? Yes. What is the lifetime of local variables until execution of what? Function. Once the execution of function is completed, these variables are get deleted. When the variables get deleted, these objects become referenced or unreferenced? Unreferenced. Then when the objects become unreferenced, those objects get deleted by whom? Garbage collector provided by Python virtual machine. But before removing it, it will call which one? Delete function. At the time of creating object, it will call which one? Constructor. At the time of So employee object is created, employee object is created, but are you deleted objects? No. But is it objects are deleted or not? Yes. But automatically deleted. Once the execution of this function is completed, once the execution of this function is completed, is it this objects get deleted automatically or not? Yes. That is done by using which one? Garbage collection. So you have a GC module where you can enable or disable garbage collection, but by enable disable, you cannot stop garbage collection. See, generally they have provided these functions, but you cannot stop garbage collection. It doesn't mean that disable means it will disable garbage collection. No, but once the execution of function is over, it will try to collect all the objects which are what? Unreferenced. Okay. Yes. So there's no point like saying, is it disable or what is that? Enable. But once the execution of function is over, but during runtime, it may not do it. But once the execution of function is over, then automatically these objects are eligible for what? Garbage collection. So, suppose again I created employee class and my program execution starts from here. I said gc.disable and called which function? Main function. And if I say gc.is enabled, but is it enabled or disabled? Disabled. Now created how many objects? 2 objects. But is it execution of function is over or not? Yes. It means once the execution of function is over, is it these objects are bind with these variables? No. These objects become referenced objects or unreferenced? Unreferenced. These objects becomes unreferenced objects, and unreferenced objects are eligible for what? Garbage collection. It means you cannot force garbage collection. You cannot force the garbage collection to stop. No. Okay. So is it these objects are deleted or not? Yes. Even though I said gc dot what? Disable. But is it these objects are deleted or not? Yes. You have to understand only one thing. What is that? When the objects are eligible for garbage collection, the objects are eligible for the garbage collection when the reference count of that particular object becomes what? 0. Okay. You have referenced objects and you have unreferenced objects. If an object is bind with a variable, it is called referenced object. If the object is not bind with any variable, then it's called what? Unreferenced objects. Referenced objects and one more is what? Unreferenced object. Okay, right now, but there is a destructor in Python. And what is a destructor is underscore delete method is called as which one? Destructor. This is called as which one? Destructor in Python, right? But tomorrow I'll tell you one project. I'll explain one project, right? So tomorrow will be the last class. Okay. Tomorrow I'll explain working with one project, right? Total is graphics like circle. Total is graphics like drawing the circle, drawing the line, paintbrush. Total is like a paintbrush. Okay, total is what? Paintbrush. In paintbrush, how to draw the circle, how to draw the line, how to draw the rectangle, just tree. Okay, na? So using total, you can draw all these things. Okay. No, logging is not required here. Logging now you cannot understand. Okay. Loggers are used, okay, to maintain the information. Like there are different types of information you store in loggers. If possible, tomorrow I'll tell you. Okay. But logger is a different concept. Okay. We'll see again. If possible, I'll tell you. Otherwise, no. Okay, right. Right. So tomorrow I'll tell you how to work with the one simple application. Like I'll take one project. I'll try to explain you. Right. Networking is not done. Huh? Okay. Networking, I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll tell you networking. Okay. No. Azure cloud, what here? Uh, I should start explaining this. Huh? Okay. If you send a message, mail me, I'll tell you the steps. Okay. Mail me, I'll tell you the steps. How to connect to the SQL server and Azure cloud. Okay. No problem. Mail me, I'll tell you the steps. Right. Right. Tomorrow we'll see it. Tomorrow I'll tell you network. Network and one project I'll explain. Right? Yes. We'll stop it here today.